Whew. Oh man, let me make sure my audio is working. Is it working? Doesn't look like it's working. Give me 1 second. Make sure I have it on. Okay, there we go. Waiting for this shit to freaking kick in. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Dark Star, and I'm back with another one. And Johnny D should be on here shortly. I'm just waiting for him to hop on. Just had to shoot him a quick message real quick, let him know I went live. Okay, there he is. Let me add him to the stage.
Yeah, sorry, man. I need to put a picture on my thing finally. That's what took me so long.
Oh, dude, you're good. You're good, man. You are 100% good, man. But anyway, yeah, man. We got two things we gotta discuss. So first thing is the whole thing with Mahershala Ali exiting the Blade project, and then this article that I saw about Kathleen Kennedy insinuating that the fan base of Star Wars does not like female characters, does not like females in Star Wars, which is their purpose of why they're trying to hammer down on pushing quote unquote strong female characters. And you know why I'm using that quote loosely when I say that. So
there's a lot to unpack on that one. I say let's start with the simpler one.
The Blade one, yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, you know, when you hear those stupid rumors that, like, you know, are pretty unfounded, there was a rumor floating around that we could potentially see Wesley Snipes. And it's like, if this guy's exiting, you know, if Wesley Snipes comes into play, it could be a positive thing. I know he's older, but I think he still has the motivation to get himself in shape to be able to do what he needs to do. But yeah, dude, it definitely makes you question the whole. Is it going to be good then? Because they're having script rewrites. He's been having problems with this, problems with that, and now he's like, it's so bad, I just don't want to do it anymore. And it's not like this guy. And it's like this is a guy who has worked with Marvel stuff before.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's not like, because there are some actors out there that I can't stand that will take the role and disrespect where it comes from, like the Black Manta actor, even Anthony Hopkins, like people like that tend to disrespect the role, and he's not that guy. He respects the hell out of it. He wants it to be good. And it really sucks when you lose a guy who respects the source material. That's one thing I will say that Anthony Mackie is also good about, that he's one of those people who likes to respect source material.
Yep, I do respect that about him.
And yeah, dude, I think that's the part that sucks, is like he wanted it. He wanted it to be good. And if he's walking away, then what are you trying to give us that this man felt the need to walk away from?
Yeah, because here's the issue, man. It's not the fact that it was just it wasn't just one script rewrite or two. It was 7. 7 times they rewrote the script. And even in one script, they tried to have it to where it was 3 female leads and Blade was pretty much playing backseat in his own starring fucking movie. And I'm like, how is it so hard to write a fucking Blade movie? Basically, he goes in, kills fucking vampires. That's it.
How is it so hard to write a good female lead story?
Jesus, don't get me started, dude. Don't. How much time you have with that one? How much time you have with? No, I'm being facetious when I say that, because it's really not hard. It's not hard.
Black Widow tried. I'll give him credit. Black Widow tried, but it was just okay. It wasn't great. It was okay.
I fell asleep through it, dude. Like, and that was a movie I really wanted to be fucking good. I really wanted that movie to be good because I like Black Widow, and that movie just put me to fucking sleep.
and
It, it, it put me to
She
sleep.
Hulk She Hulk was trash.
Oh my god, let's not talk about that fucking shit, bro. Oh my
And
fucking
then
god.
what what else? Because they tried Captain Marvel sucked. It was just
Both movies were
bland.
bad.
I defend the fuck out of the second one, but the first one was awful. The second one I think was a fun little romp. Like I feel like it almost felt like Guardians of the Galaxy 1 in that it's like nothing important's supposed to be happening. It's just a lot of fun stuff happening. Go for the ride, enjoy yourself, and like that's what I did, and I enjoyed it. But I also know it's a very polarizing movie. Not everybody is on the side I'm on, and there
Yeah.
is no other than to jump ship to go over to DC. Other than Wonder Woman 1, there really is no movie that everybody kind of just gathers around. And I'm like, what is so hard
That,
about it? Because like we've talked about it before, Harley Quinn under Amanda and Jimmy was the second best selling comic book in all of DC. So
yep.
obviously there are people out there who want badass female characters. It's like, what are you doing to fuck these characters up?
Oh man, it's one of those things where like, and this is just from shit that I've seen, even with like Young Justice, they do this shit where they want to lecture to the male characters or lecture to the male audience how you know men are bad, women are good, like it's just that type of shit. And I'm like, are you really trying to really kill your audience with that? Are you really trying to turn your audience away? Because to me, it just sounds like you're trying to gaslight the fan base versus trying to unite the fan base. And one of the things I always liked about the first Wonder Woman movie, it's not like even though she lives on an island with a bunch of women, and of course, she had a dead set in her head that that men were the reason why society fell and whatnot, right?
Right.
But when she comes to, Europe, she sees it's a whole different thing. And like not only that, but the one thing I also loved about Wonder Woman in that movie, it was the fact that you had the one dude that had really bad PTSD. The sniper, you remember him?
Yeah, the Scottish guy.
Yeah, he had really, really bad PTSD. And rather than shaming him and telling him he's weak, he even straight up, no, this dude has so much freaking, basically lifted him up and basically was saying, this guy has a lot of strength, he's not, it's not that he's afraid. He just has a lot of strength, that he's really strong. She basically lifted that dude up. You know what I mean? And that's like one of those things when it comes to Wonder Woman. That's one of the things I've always loved about Wonder Woman, even in the comics, is like even your weakest link can be your strongest fucking fighter. You know what I mean?
Well, and then going back to the very first Wonder Woman animated movie, which was like the
Yeah,
second or third one ever made.
yeah,
Um,
I remember.
Going back
Wait,
to
which
that
one?
one, it's
What line?
the one where Nathan Fillion is Steve Trevor and Rosario Dawson is
Okay, yep,
Artemis.
I know which one. Yeah, that's
Uh,
Bloodlines.
no, no, no. Bloodlines was the second one because Bloodlines is
No,
the one that tied because in that one Rosario Dawson is Wonder Woman. In the very first one, Rosario is only Artemis.
oh, okay, you're talking about the one with Rosario's Artemis. Okay, so you're talking about the one where Carrie Wilson was Wonder Woman. Gotcha.
Right. Going all the way back to that one, there comes a point where like she has this thing where she kind of blows up on Steve about him being a male, and then he kind of blows up back on her about look at all the stuff you're doing. And I also like that it's like there comes a point where it's like they point out toxic masculinity, which is fine, but they also point out where she's being toxic, where
Yep.
she's using her prejudice in a way that's not so great. And it's like the way I describe it is like it's almost like stand-up comedy. Like I lost all interest with George Lopez and with Eddie Griffin because they used to do this comedy where it's like black people are this way, but they're also this way, and white people are this, but they're also this. And it was always you went back and forth both sides, very, both sides of the coin were seen versus later in life, what they became is our people are so great, your people are so bad. And it's like if you're that people, maybe it's appealing to you, but if you're not that people, it's not so appealing. That's why in San
Right.
Antonio, he got booed off stage because he kept, just kind of kept going on with the racist stuff. And it's like, dude, in San Antonio, 90% of the people are related to a white person. You can't just
Yeah.
crap on white people and expect it to go great. And
Yeah, that is true. You really can't.
and it's
You know.
like, and I feel like that's what a lot of things do is they lose. You're allowed to point out the negative, but you got to point out the negative on both sides, and you got to point out the positive on both sides. But if you're only pointing out the negative of one and the positive of the other, people are gonna turn against you. And I feel like
Yep.
that's
That is
what a
true.
lot of female-led stuff does, is the woman is too perfect. She has to have some flaws. She has to have some, like, even
Yep.
with the newest Wonder Woman movie, a lot of her flaws came down to she didn't understand things. She was almost a babe in the woods. It's like you're too naive. You
Yeah.
don't get how this world works.
Yep.
And she was a little flawed, but she was still Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about the first Wonder Woman movie, man, is the fact that she was nowhere near close to being perfect. That's what I loved about it, is that she had her flaws, she was very naive about a lot of things, especially with thinking that when she stopped that one commander, thinking he was Ares, that if she stops Ares, all war would be over. And it's like, no, that's just the way human man is. That's just the way humans are. We're always going to be at war. No god is going to influence, people being at war. War is always going to exist no matter what. You know what I mean? War will exist in many different ways, in many different shapes and forms. War is something that is never ending for the most part. There will always be a war to fight in some way, shape, or form. You know, Not and that was like one of the things that like she had to learn that the hard way. Hence why when you see her in Justice League and Batman versus Superman, she's a little more matured. She's more hardened. You know what I mean? She's a little more what's the word?
Jaded,
Ah,
perhaps?
yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah, she becomes a little bit more jaded because of that. And like I said, and that's what I'm saying. Like when you see the first movie, you see how the events that happened in the first movie affected her to how her persona and how her attitude is in Batman v Superman and Justice League. And why she kind of just walked away from trying to defend everybody and trying to make everyone, basically trying to see the good in the world. You know?
Right, which is something like I understand because I do this weird thing that I'm only now noticing because I'm old enough to have noticed it, where I'll get very politically invested, very give a crap about stuff, and then suddenly I just like I'm burned out and I don't want to do it, and then suddenly I care again, and then I'm burned out and I don't want to do it, and a lot of it comes from it's like I see everything. I know it needs to be done. We all know it needs to be done, but for some reason that just doesn't happen and things
Nope.
get worse and there comes a point where it's like it's exhaustion. How many
Yep.
times can I watch you fail before I'm done? And
Yeah.
so I totally feel that when it comes to Wonder Woman, her just looking at this and being like, I've given y'all so many chances. I'm done trying.
Yeah. And it's kind of one of those things where like I really wish, they could write characters like that. But like I said, when it came to that whole thing with the Blade script, like look, this dude has been waiting patiently, like almost like what, 4 years or some shit, like in some change,
It's been a
and yet
while.
nothing. Yeah, and nothing has been produced. So you know what? I don't blame him if he walked away, because at that point, this dude is missing out on money. You know what I mean? That
Right.
there is money to be made, and the longer he's waiting on you, the longer he's waiting to get paid. And he's just like, nope, fuck that shit. I'm going to go take this project, which I think he left the project to go on Jurassic World. And you know what? I don't blame him. I don't
I don't
blame
blame
him. Not at all. Because right now, I don't know what the fuck is going on at Marvel Studios and with Kevin Feige and all those motherfuckers in there, but they need to get their shit together. Because, like, look, since and I hate to be the asshole to point this out, but ever since the ass end of Phase 3, Marvel has been taking L's left and right.
And we talked about
They,
that last time. It's like
yes,
since Endgame, it's like what has come out that most people can agree is good. Because there's stuff that I like, but
yeah.
not everybody else likes it. So it's like I would say Spider-Man 2 was pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Uh,
even really throw Spider-Man in MCU just because it's partially owned by Sony. So I would take that out of the equation because Sony doesn't have because Disney doesn't have full ownership of Spider-Man. So I wouldn't even count that.
so then what are
You
we
know,
talking? Number 3 and Loki season 1 and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Loki seasons 1 and 2, is that the only things on the list that we can agree on?
and
Oh,
you
and
said Guardians
Shang-Chi.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Guardians 3,
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, and
Uh,
Loki 1 and 2.
look,
Like,
I would argue Captain America. I mean, I would argue Falcon and the Winter Soldier was pretty decent. I would argue that it was
well,
pretty decent.
oh, I'll argue a lot of stuff is pretty decent. Well, not a lot, but more than just those things. Because I liked that one. I liked Miss Marvel. I liked the Marvels, or something else I'm forgetting that I also enjoyed. But I'm saying like the ones that most fans can agree on. Like
Gotcha, gotcha.
those are the only ones that most fans kind of gather on. Everything else, it's like this guy loves this but hates these three things, but this guy loves two of the three things he hates, and it's all sporadic. And it's like, man, there used to be a lot more unity on what we thought was good and bad.
Right,
Like we all
because
thought Thor 2 sucked. We all thought Thor
yep.
1 was great. Like we used to largely agree on stuff with just a few contrarians being different just to be different. And
And I know
now
the
it's
one we
like,
won't that no one I know the one no one will ever disagree on. Captain America and the Winter Soldier was the best Marvel movie ever made. That's one of those ones nobody will ever disagree on.
I think Civil War was better.
Eh, oh yeah, I think it was okay. But I'm saying as far as Captain America, the only reason I say that is because I feel like Civil War was more of a side Avengers movie. That's just me though.
I think Captain America was the one who had the perfect trilogy. Like,
Yeah, no, that's a fact. That cannot be argued.
because Thor 2 sucked and Iron Man 3 sucked, to me at
Iron,
least.
Iron Man, yeah, Iron Man 3 sucked. 2 was okay. Yeah, because I mean, I've heard some people say Iron Man 2 is ass, but
I
3,
saw it in theaters and really, really
I did
enjoyed
too.
myself.
Yeah, same. I liked it. I liked Iron Man 2. I was like, because I even kind of look at people sideways when they say Iron Man 2 sucks. I'm like, what fucking movie did you watch?
And I mean,
But
I guess if you go back in time and you're trying to compare it to this stuff later, maybe you can see where
yeah,
like not a lot's going on, basically, because like no big names come in. There are all these names you don't know, um, other than maybe War Machine. But it's an Iron Man movie. It's supposed to be a little more insulated. It's supposed to be Iron Man stuff.
yep.
And to me,
Hmm.
it was great. And I never liked Terrence Howard as Rhodey, not because I don't like Terrence, not because I don't like Terrence Howard. I think he's an
Yeah,
amazing
nah,
actor, but to me, he's a pretty boy. And
yeah. I'm like,
James
Rhodey.
Rhodes is not a pretty boy. He's a manly man.
Not
And
to mention James Rhodes don't take shit from Tony Stark. And that's what I liked about John Cheadle as Rhodey is that he does not take Tony's shit. You know, Rhodey usually is the one that has to put Tony in his fucking place. You know, that's usually how that dynamic works between the two. Is Tony will be ready to do some stupid shit. He'll say some stupid unfamiliar shit. Rhodey will be the one to fucking put him in his fucking place. And then he says some other stupid shit. Then Rhodey will have to turn around and whoop his ass. That's usually how that works.
yeah, so dude, I loved the fuck out of Iron Man 2. And a lot of it is, you know me, I'm a big War Machine guy. He's like my number
Yeah, I
3.
love War Machine.
He's my number 3 Marvel guy. So it's like when you're introducing War Machine and you're introducing him with an actor that I'm really vibing with a lot better than the previous actor, it's like that's
Yeah.
that's a pretty good recipe right there. I think they did a lot of fun stuff. What's his name? Mickey Rourke made a good villain, I thought.
Hmm.
Drone better.
Yeah. I thought he was okay. Not the best, but I think he was okay. It was passable. You know what I mean? but he
It was.
wasn't worse than what's his face? Fuck, what's that dude's name? The guy from the third one, the guy who plays Aldrich Killian, aka the Mandarin, and I'm using those quotes very fucking loosely. That motherfucker, the dude that had the extremists,
Oh, the
and then
Shang-Chi guy, the guy from Shang-Chi, right? Who had the little weird
no, no,
pet.
no, not that guy, not that guy. The guy who played the fake Mandarin that was like shooting the fiery shit.
Oh, yeah, the weird fire crap. I hated that. I hated it so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, and not only that, but it was one of those. They single-handedly fucked up one of my favorite Iron Man story arcs. Like one of my favorite Iron Man story arcs. They could have done so much with that story arc. They had the perfect opportunity to freaking give Iron Man the extremists and then make him a technopath, but they fumbled the bag on that one. You know, it was just so much they could have done with that, and they just fumbled the bag on it. But that's okay. It's okay. I kind of came to terms with it and I let it go.
No, I will say I feel like in regards to like the MCU that I understand why people didn't like the fourth Thor movie, but I will always say like they told y'all this is what it was going to be. They told y'all it was going to be comedy, it was going to be silly. And so it's like anybody who, especially if you read Gore the God Butcher series, because I just did Comic Story and I did it after the fact. But if you knew going into it what it was, I fully understand your disappointment because that is a dark story.
Yes,
But
that was some dark shit.
they also told you straight up going into it, this is a comedy. And so it's like all your disappointment should have happened before you even entered the theater to me.
Yeah,
Because
I
you
mean,
should
I
have,
was already. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, like you should have walked in knowing it wasn't going to be what you wanted it to be and kind of just went for the ride. And
Yeah,
so I think that the movie was okay. I don't hate on it for being too silly because it's like they told us and we were totally fine with it until we saw the result, and then suddenly we all became haters. And I'm like, guys, we fed that beast. We
oh,
we
I just
helped
went to
feed
see it
that
because
beast.
my girl wanted to watch it. That was the only reason I watched it because my girl wanted to watch it. So I was like, okay, whatever. Because I already knew what it was gonna be going into it, and my girl wanted to watch the movie. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll just take her. You know what I mean? Because she kept bugging me to watch it. So I'm like, yeah, fuck it, we'll just go watch it. And yeah, it pretty much was what I thought it was gonna be. I was kind of down a little bit. But my thing was, I wasn't like, it was just some of the comedy really just felt flat for me.
Yeah,
And I
and
think
like
that was, yeah, like the only, like, I'll be honest, the first 10 minutes of the movie, I was laughing, and then the rest of it, I was just, I was done.
yeah, and that's the
I'll
other
be
thing
honest.
is I feel like some of the it's not so much that it was too comedic, it's that some of it was too much of like silly comedy in a way that the one before it really wasn't. The one before it I think had better jokes. I
Yes,
think it had
Ragnarok
better
had way better
setup
jokes. Yep.
and stuff like that. But I wouldn't put it as a bad movie, but I will say it's like it wasn't what it could have been. And I feel like there's
Right.
another one that I'm forgetting that was like not bad, but not what it could have been. Because Eternals, we've already talked about that. It should have been a show. It needed to be way
Ant-Man
bigger.
Quantumania.
There it is. There it is. That's the one. Like
Yeah.
as soon as I saw what they did with Modoc, I'm like, oh, the
Yeah.
fanboys are gonna tear it up.
Yeah. The minute I saw what they did with Modok, I was like, I don't know how I'm going. I don't know, man. I don't see this ending well. I don't see this ending well. It when sure enough, when they did what I think they did, I was like, yeah,
Yeah, because they ticked off the casuals and the regular people and like the deep people in the same movie. They ticked off the casuals because they replaced the actor who played the daughter. So the
yep,
casual people are already upset because continuity. The other girl was old enough, blah, blah, blah. Why not let her? So the other girl, the new girl, got shit on just because she wasn't the old girl. So, like, that
yeah,
pissed off the casuals. And when they brought in this ridiculous version of Modoc, that ticked off all of the fanboys who are deep into it. And me, I've always thought like you and I are very different on this. I've always thought MODOK was kind of a silly villain. I thought he looked funny, and like me, I look at it as an artist. I'm like, this doesn't look like something fun to draw. Doctor
No.
Doom is fun to draw. Magneto is fun to draw.
Yeah.
MODOK is not fun to draw, so I never thought much of him. But I also understand I'm kind of the weirdo in that
Yeah.
most people who are really into it, they love the crap out of MODOK. They've read all the stories about how he's so evil, he's so genius, he's all this stuff. And so when I saw him become this silly comedic puppet version, I'm like, oof, they're gonna hate it. And when I
Yeah,
went on
because
the internet, sure enough, they hated it.
yeah, because like MODOK is one of those dudes that's not necessarily like a jobber, but he's been reduced to a jobber, you know. And MODOK is one of those dudes. He's got a lot of potential to fuck a lot of people up, but instead they reduced him to a jobber. But it is what it is, man. Like, I don't know, man. Like I said, there was just a lot of things about that movie that were just kind of what the fuck, man. You know?
And like it goes back to what you were saying. It's like any of these things individually, we as fans will forgive. Because when you go back to the earlier phases, we forgave Thor 2, we forgave Captain Marvel, we forgave Iron Man 3, we forgave it. We just let it go. We rolled with it. But it's like we forgave it because it was sandwiched between a bunch of good movies.
Yeah, and not only that, but a lot of those movies were segueing into something bigger. You know, and now these movies, not only do they not seem like they're segueing into anything, it just seems like these movies are not really going anywhere. Like it's like they're just making these movies just to make them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like they're just pumping these movies out to try to feed their cash cow. And right now, what Marvel is starting to learn is that yeah, you can try to what's the word? You can try to turn around and pump these movies all you want, but I mean, it's gonna come to a point where people are just gonna get sick of it. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's getting to a point where like a lot of people are heavily invested in these characters, and when you just start to just do all this stupid shit with these characters, it makes people think you just don't respect the source material and you don't respect the characters. You know
And
what I mean? And
they're
yeah, fans take that shit
forcing
very seriously.
they're forcing superhero fatigue. Because to me,
Yep.
when people talk about superhero fatigue, it's like, dude, Action Comics just hit 1,000 issues a couple years back. You know what
Yep.
I mean? Wonder Woman just hit 800 issues. Like this shit's been going on for 80 years. Ain't none of us fatigued. All right. The
We're
problem
just
is
fatigued with the shit writing.
yeah, like so it's like it's you that's effing up.
Yeah.
It's not that the fans are getting exhausted because like I can get exhausted, but I get exhausted because I keep watching bad stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? That not damn. Now that you said that, we can segue into the next fucking topic. Just because of what you just said right now, we can segue into the freaking Star Wars controversy with
which which
Kathleen
is a
Kennedy saying, "Yeah, go ahead."
I said it's a weird one because like I actually agree with her 20%, but only 20% because I do fully acknowledge toxic fans, particularly in Star Wars fandom. Like there are toxic fans because like
I can agree to that.
we've talked about it before where it's like when we were talking about Little Mermaid, which we should talk about that because of that recent thing, but we'll get around to that eventually. When we were
We could
talking
talk about
about,
that today too.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it. It's just let's get Star Wars out of the way. But
Yes. Let's get.
but when we were
Yeah.
talking about it, it's like what was I going to say? Is the whenever women say, "Oh, all these grown ass men caring about Disney princess," I'm like, first of all, like telling a man or a male or a young boy that they can't like Disney princess is like a dude telling a girl she can't like Star Wars. That's
Thank you.
bullshit.
That was. Yeah, that's like saying saying that is also like saying like a girl's favorite character can't be Iron Man or Captain America or fucking Wolverine or you know what I mean?
Right, because one of my wife's favorite characters is John Constantine, and one of my favorite characters is Diana Prince.
Yeah, one of my favorite characters
So
happens
what?
to be fucking Storm. So what are we talking about here? My girlfriend likes Black Panther. What are we talking about here?
Right, and it's And it's that, so it's like when people are all, "Oh, you can't be this, you can't be," I'm like, "Yes, the fuck you can." Like, I can
Right.
definitely, I can definitely love Disney princess stuff, and not to mention, it's like Aladdin, and to a certain extent, the Black Cauldron. Like, those are stories, like princess stories that are made for the guy,
Yeah.
um,
Like, what are we talking about here?
and stuff like that. And so it's like, and so when you have Star Wars stuff, and I always say, like, when it comes to superhero things, people need to remember women are 50% of the thing. You're used to Power Rangers, you're used to looking at five of them, only two of them are girls.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
And
only
like that.
40. That's 40%. Problem is women are 50%, actually a little higher because we tend to get ourselves killed because we're stupid. But that's another issue.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But
so
anyway.
women are a slightly higher percentage than us, and so it's like if you're gonna have these superhero teams, like, yeah, dude, there's gonna be a lot of freaking women on them. And I think there are people who they'll, because I've seen somebody say something like that about one of somebody online about Dave Filoni. He's just got a hard on for all his chicks and whatever, and it's like most of
What the?
it's
I'm.
it's like he has
I,
some cool female characters, Ahsoka, sure, but he also has a lot of really
let's
cool
not
male
forget about.
characters.
Hey, don't leave out Cara Dune. 'Cause I loved fucking Cara Dune. I fucking loved her in The Mandalorian. Don't leave her the fuck out, dude. That was
Oh,
my
dude,
bitch.
I fucking
Yeah.
loved her. Like, I wish I could have gotten the Funko Pop because remember how they pulled them, so only a few got out. Those few that got out are too damn expensive. Lego
Yeah, dude.
didn't.
I was fucking.
Lego didn't give a shit. You can
Yeah.
still buy a Cara Dune Lego today on Amazon because they're like, we're not doing that. We're not
Yeah,
pulling
and then
nothing.
yeah, and that also kind of defeats the whole argument too, because it's like to say a lot. It's like how can you say that the fan base hates female characters, but yet you have an ass load of people that were huge fans of Cara Dune until you pretty much got rid of the actress and wrote the character off.
Right.
You know,
What she
yeah,
said
and
is its own group of things, but at the end of the day, it's like that character outside of the actor, that character was fucking awesome.
yep, and that's and then even then I have my opinions on that shit, but that's a story for another day. You
Yeah,
know,
and my bottom
yeah,
line on that is you're judged by the company you keep. When she was done with Disney, she immediately hooked up with Ben Shapiro to become an actor in his shit. And it's like, to me, Ben Shapiro is one of the biggest
mhm.
white nationalists on the
Don't get me
on the
started.
thing. It's like
Don't get me
him,
started with that hypocritical
Crowder,
fucking clown.
um, that that Peterson, all those guys are white nationalists as I see it. So if you choose to affiliate with that, I'm going to judge you on the company you keep. So nothing she said bothers me. It's who she aligned herself with afterwards that I was like, all right,
Yeah,
lady, you can go. But in regards to the character, amazing character. Like, my wife knows I'm in love with that character. She's just like, yeah, it happens.
yeah. And and it's like, and then to your point on that, like I always say, like at the end of the day, I understand why she did it, why she did the movie with them. I don't agree with it, but I understand because of the simple fact that over a fucking tweet, Disney overreacted and decided to fire her over a
Right.
fucking tweet. And my opinion, that is just fucking stupid to fire someone over a goddamn tweet. And even then, the tweet that she said was not really offensive, but apparently people took it that way, and yeah, they let her go. And I'm like, dude, you got plenty of people that you're working with that have probably said worse shit on Twitter, and nothing has happened to them. Hell, Pedro Pascal said some shit that was just as bad, and the only thing y'all gave him was a slap on the wrist.
Right.
So yeah, that part where I'm like, nah, dude, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, she
So,
should
but
have
that
never been fired to begin with, to even,
exactly,
like, she should
exactly,
have never been driven to the enemy. That's how I see it.
yeah,
She should have never been driven to the enemy to begin with. You're with the enemy, so I don't care, but you should have never been driven to the fucking enemy. Like, it's ridiculous.
yeah. That whole shit, that whole situation is just fucked. You know. But it is what it is with that one.
But talking about Star Wars, Jyn
Yeah.
Erso, who doesn't love Jyn Erso?
Which one was Jen Erso again?
Rogue One. Rogue One.
Oh yeah. I remember now. You know I suck with Star Wars names.
I only know
But I
her
know who that
name
is.
because I have her Hot Wheels car on my wall leading up the stairs, so it's like I see it every day.
I remember her from Rogue One. Dude, Rogue One was a phenomenal fucking movie.
Dude, Rogue
That
One
that
was
was
a phenomenal movie, and she was the lead, and nobody gave a fuck. Nobody was like,
mm,
"Oh, it's a girl." Wah. Nobody gave a
that,
shit.
if anything, people actually love that fucking movie. They thought her character was badass.
Dude, and like the thing is, I actually really enjoy the character Ray. I love the actor Daisy Ridley. Do I think they did right with that character? No.
No.
But
And
I
that
don't dislike the character. I dislike the people who wrote it. Like J.J. Abrams has a stone cold stunner coming for me one of these fucking days. He's
yeah,
going to be at
now
Comic Con. He's going to think
yeah.
he's safe. He's going to round a corner, and I'm just going to stunner him. That's what's going to happen.
but bro, that's how I kind of feel it too. It's just like this, man. Like I have no issue with Daisy Ridley. I think she's a phenomenal actress. I think she's actually really good. She's just working with what they give her. And this is what I've always said. Like it's stupid to kind of go off on the actor so much. If the script is written shitty, you got to blame the fucking writers on that because that was my issue with Ray. Like I was feeling her in the first movie. Second movie, I was like, what the fuck is going on with this? And then I didn't even bother watching the third one just because it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, first off, how the fuck is this chick learning how to use all this fucking shit with the force and hadn't had really any formal training? I'm just like, at this point, you kind of just made her a Mary Sue. And I hate saying that fucking word, but that's what comes off. And it's again, I don't hate the character. I hate the writing. I hate the direction that they took the character. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because like
And
I didn't dislike her. I didn't like. Let's go to like look at all four of the major female leads, really, because like Carrie Fisher was beloved, Natalie Portman beloved. I'm afraid I don't know the actor who plays Jyn Erso, but she was beloved, and now Daisy Ridley. Maybe she's not as loved by some of the more toxic fanboys, but like I follow a lot of cosplay chicks on Instagram, and she's a popular one.
yeah, yeah, and that's why I'm saying like to even say that like that it's like the fan base necessarily hates female character. That's like not even true. Hell, one of my favorite female characters in the Star Wars mythos happens to be a fucking female, and it happens to be Mara Jade, which was one character I was hoping they would have thrown into the Star Wars universe in live action, and it never happened, and I'm very disappointed.
And see, for
But
me, it's a lesser known character called the Dark Woman. I really only ever read her in like one book where basically Mara Jade tracks her down,
oh
and Mara's like, I want to kill her. I'm the one who did the work. I need to kill her. And the Emperor's like, you're not the one for this job. Vader, you go kill her. And they have a fight. Vader kills her. And right after he kills her, she shows up as a blue spirit, talks
oh
some shit, and then just disappears. And basically, in the old canon, this is how Vader knew that the blue spirits existed because he shouldn't have been there at the end with
yeah,
Yoda and what's his name because he didn't know about that shit.
yeah,
But
yeah.
he saw it when he killed the Dark Woman. And the Dark Woman was one of my little characters that I just like. I'm like, that's so cool. It's such a cool name. Her lightsaber was beautiful. It was sleek. It was a purple one. She had this incredible long, slender, like pale alien look. Like she was awesome. And that's one of those characters I would love to see be reintroduced, but it never will. Just like Mara Jade will never be reintroduced, even though we'd like it. Although there is an action figure of her coming out.
Oh, nice. I'll probably end up getting it because, like I said, when it comes to Star Wars, she's like one of the main female characters that I actually do remember and I actually do like. She's actually a pretty badass character. I've always thought she was badass. Yeah.
And it was funny, like when when the first movie came out, and like by the first I mean episode 7, There
Yeah.
was this story that got big about this guy who killed himself because he was so upset that there was a black white romance in Star Wars. And he left this letter about how the world's this and the world's that, and he killed himself because he'd rather be dead than in a world where a white woman could love a black man in Star Wars, right?
Yeah,
And
that
I'm like,
was
dude, if you're such a Star Wars fan, if you're such a gigantic Star Wars fan, you think you
come
would
on.
have known that Luke's wife dated Lando before she ended up with Luke.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
So it's like if you're so upset about this interracial couple, you think you would have been upset when Luke's wife was being fucked by Lando.
Yeah, but we're not gonna talk about that. Nobody want to talk about that. But yeah, man, and that's what like my point is. It's like for Kathleen Kennedy to fix her mouth to say that, I'm kind of like, no. How about take some accountability? How about go back, look at what the fuck what the fuck you're writing? How about actually read what the fans are saying and actually listen to what the fans are saying? Because I can tell you right now, I've already seen plenty of freaking Facebook and freaking Twitter posts where they're talking about this article and a bunch of fans are saying we don't hate female characters, we hate the writing. That's the thing. That's like the main thing I keep seeing is like, no, we just hate the writing,
Because
and that's like something. Yeah, and that's something that we.
Ahsoka went over well. Ahsoka
Oh,
went over well, and Tales of the Empire followed two female characters throughout the
yeah,
entire thing. And it's up there with Tales of the Jedi. Like people love it, they think it's cool. It's like yes, they did kind of introduce that one lady kind of randomly, but
yeah.
they eventually unveiled more of her backstory. You understand more about her, and it's like to me in this kind of entertainment, people need to start getting used to the fact that it needs to be 50-50.
Yeah, and then there was something that was even said too, in another article by the showrunner for Star Wars Acolyte, and and to me, I hate to say it, this is her gaslighting the fan base. And what she said was, if you're not for wokeness, then you're not a real Star Wars fan. This was the showrunner that said that.
Give
I'm
me a
just
second.
like,
Give me a second. Holy shit.
hold up, hold up, hold
Jesus.
up, hold up, Johnny, hold up. I got you, I got you, I got you. Hold on,
You broke
give
my
me a
brain.
second. Hold on, wait, hold on. I got you.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Bro, what is she talking about? Because, like, here's the thing. First of all, I get so annoyed with people who don't understand what woke means. Woke
Dude.
is not progressive. It's not forward thinking. It's not all this shit.
No,
Like
it's
that's
not.
it's when you take those principles and go so far with it that you actually undergo the horseshoe effect and actually start going backwards. That's what woke is when you are so forward thinking that you go backwards.
Well, let me
Being
phrase that. That's the co-opted definition. That's the co-opted definition. I'll give you. Go ahead. I'll let you finish. I'll give you the real
but
definition in a minute.
but it's like to me when people say woke, it's you're so progressive you're going backwards. Versus it's like what people want to say is woke is like this is just normal shit. This is normal progressive forward thinking people and it's like
No, it's not being progressive. It's going back. No, it's being regressive.
yeah, and it's like that's the thing is you go so far with it that you actually become regressive, and it's like that's what woke is. And so, when has Star Wars ever been regressive?
Uh, dude.
And therefore, her whole statement is stupid because Star Wars has never been regressive. Star Wars has only ever pushed forward, and it's like people can look at the old Star Wars and say, "Oh, it's all just a bunch of old white men," but you got to realize in the '70s, women weren't flying fighter jets yet. So women flying
Yeah.
X-wing fighters was kind of weird. Most of the actors in England, which is where a lot of this was shot, was white. So of
Yep.
course they were largely white. This is a circumstance of the situation, but when you look at the prequels, you get Jimmy Smits rolled in. You start getting bigger diverse of cast and actors in, and then as you go to the next one, it's like Star Wars has always been forward thinking and inclusive. It's always been that. And
Yep.
so it's like to say you're against Star Wars because you're against that, like that's not humanly possible.
No, it's really not. And not to mention, like, by saying that shit, it's like, do you not realize you're gaslighting fans by saying that shit? Like, do you not realize you are gaslighting the fan base and you are further alienating them from the Star Wars product? You're turning them off to Star Wars to the point where they don't even want to fuck with Star Wars. It's like, do you not realize that? Like, what the fuck is going on here?
And see, that's one of the problems with Acolyte is like the whole show, because like they've been putting the wrong foot forward the whole time.
Yep.
Talking about how diverse it is, how it's so women led, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, dude, talk about the Force.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to give an unpopular opinion right now. I think a lot of these shows, when they start marketing their shows, stop marketing your shows with DEI first. Stop. Because that's what's killing your momentum for whatever good show you have. When you start marketing with that first, you destroy whatever fucking momentum you have. Because this is the thing. Here's the thing. You talk about superhero fatigue. Well, guess what? Motherfuckers have DEI fatigue. Motherfuckers have DEI fatigue. How about just write a good show, put out a good product, talk about the product, not the DEI shit. Talk about what the fuck the story is about, and then shut the fuck up and let people judge it for themselves. How about that?
Agreed. I
How about that?
mean, agreed. And it sucks too because like Star Wars was doing bad, and then John and Dave kind of took the front, and it was doing better. And then it's like now they're going right back to bad. It seems, and it's so unfortunate because it's like one. I literally text my friend earlier today, like, don't forget new Star Wars in 2 days. So it's not like I'm not excited for new Star Wars. But the thing is, I'm also very aware this show's probably going to break my heart. This show is
Yeah.
probably not going to be what it's supposed to be because they're putting all the wrong stuff first. And then the other thing, too, is sometimes you need to know what you can and can't do. And what I mean by that is like, if you try and put the message in the show, Star Wars is very interesting because basically human races don't exist in Star Wars. We're just human. That's it. Some of you are like, I remember in reading one of the books, Ahsoka is trying to describe somebody's skin color, and she goes, she's not as light as this person, but not as dark as this person. And basically she's describing somebody with like Hispanic kind of skin tones by comparing them to a white actor and a black actor, because in this thing it's like the idea of black, white, Hispanic, like none of that exists.
Yeah.
Just like a Twi'leks, if they're red, orange, green, blue, it's a fucking Twi'lek. It's a person with two little fucking things coming out of their head. It's a Twi'lek. You're a human. That's that. And so it's like you cannot put too much emphasis on somebody being black, white, or this or that, because that's not how they divide races. They divide races by Wookiee, by Twi'lek, and by calamari and all that stuff. And it's like, if you're putting the wrong foot forward on this, it's like you don't understand the universe you're living in. And if you don't understand the universe you're living in, you shouldn't be writing a story for that universe.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's a good point. That's a very good point. I can't even knock that. That's a very good point of contention, man.
And what annoys me is like I've been trying to give Kathleen Kennedy the benefit of the doubt, so to speak. And it's like, and she's making it difficult for me. I hate because like here's my benefit of the doubt argument. All right, it says she spent too much time trying to be the quarterback when she should have been being the coach.
Right.
that when you listen to some of the interviews where she actually does good, and she's like, oh, this person and that person, and I put them together and I did this. And it's like, that's what we need you to do. We need you to find the right people who will work together and put them together and stay out of the way and let them be creative. And
Yeah.
you just put the right creative people together. And so for
And
a long time, I was kind of on her side because I'm like, she started to do that. She started to stay out of the way, look for the right creative people and put them in the thing. And I was like, I'm starting to like what you're doing. And now she's going backwards.
yeah,
And now she's going back to messaging and this and that. And it's like, dude. And as I've said before, I'm all in favor of messaging. I love the fact that people can create something where they can express themselves and their values through it.
yeah,
But the story comes first.
yes. The message is supposed to be secondary. Story is first. Message is secondary. That's something that I've always like believed is that story should come first and then the message should be secondary. That's how a lot of good movies get made. Is that they put the story and the characters first, and then everything else is secondary. I don't see why that's so hard to do.
Were you a WWE guy growing up?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you know the Dudley brothers, right? And the
Yeah,
Dudley boys. And I was watching a thing where it was like no, not the Dudley brothers. I'm sorry, the Acolytes. It was the Acolytes, and
yeah,
they wanted to run like a black white thing about that. And Ron Farouk stepped all over
yeah,
it. He said, "No, blah blah blah, whatever. Cut that bullshit. We're not doing it." And
yeah,
Ron was smart enough to understand that the message doesn't need to be said out loud.
yeah,
We're two guys, we're doing this, we're bros, we're in it together, and that's that. And it's like
yeah,
the whole black white thing, you understand that just by watching it. I don't need to have black white explained to me. I'm
yeah.
watching it fucking happen. And Farouk understood this doesn't need that.
Right,
And I feel like if a fucking guy whose only job it is to pick humans up and throw them can understand it, then I feel like anybody should understand it.
right. Because at the end of the day, like what it is that, and it's just something that I've been noticing for a while, is that everybody wants to play a victim. Everybody wants
Oh, that
to be playing the victim Olympics. That's what it is, and it's
that
like,
Magneto line, dude, that fucking Magneto line, it got me
yeah,
so good. He's like, humans are the best at everything. They're the best at this. They're the best at that.
yep,
Why? They're even the best at who plays the better victim. And it's
yep,
like that line. I know I'm butchering
it's
it, but you
true.
get it. And it's like,
Yeah,
holy crap, dude. That's why I love Magneto. And that's one of the things because, like, early in the series, they had said something that was kind of like, it made me feel it was a little too woke because it was like it was taking a line to woke responsiveness and belittling it, which is
yeah,
like where he says like some of you are so whiny. And I kind of took that personally because I was like, that's an accusation I make a lot. I'm like, you're fucking whiny. Stop whining. Man
yeah,
up, do your shit, quit whining. And so when they had this like guy who's kind of meant to be, a white supremacist stand-in because he's a human superiority kind of guy, and he's like, "You're all so whiny." It made it feel like they were attacking my point of view, and I was like,
yeah,
"Well, then fuck you." But then later on in the series, they completely backed up my point of view with Magneto saying they all, it's all a game to see who's the better victim. And what I love
yeah.
about that is that's a guy who survived the Holocaust saying that.
Right. That's why I was like, when he said that shit, I was like, bro, I'm let me back away slowly, cause yeah,
Yeah, yeah, he dropped the mic on that one.
yeah. I mean, that's what I was gonna say, and honestly, I hate to say it, but that's just kind of it is kind of the world we live in now because you got motherfuckers that survived World War II, Vietnam War, and the Gulf War, and yet we have a lot of kids, a lot of these Gen Zers bitching about how the world is hard and shit. And it's just kind of like if you got someone that survived like the 70s and the 80s, and with the whole drug epidemic and shit like that, and how poverty was at an all-time high in like the 70s and the 80s. Hell, I'd maybe say maybe in the early 90s, and if they were able to make it out of that, bruh, shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah, dude, I totally feel that because like when the pandemic
Yeah.
started, it was like graduation time, and all these kids were crying about how they couldn't cross the stage. Which I'm not trying to belittle that. It does suck that you're looking forward to this and all this stuff happens, blah blah blah. It does suck, but the reason I didn't get to cross the stage is because my mom decided that her 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 way of life, her ability to live okay and live in a house was more important than her children. And she chose a man over her kids, a man who was abusive and belittling to her children. And so I didn't get to graduate basically because I had to drop out, find a job, find an apartment to get the hell out of an abusive household. And that's why I didn't get to walk the stage. You didn't get to walk the stage because you might not get sick. Like, I'm not the guy to look to for sympathy in a situation like that. And I think it's the same thing on a more extreme level when you're
Right.
talking about stuff like that. Is it's like I went through X, Y, and Z, and you're crying because you went through X. Bitch, come to me when
Well,
you've been through Y and Z.
yeah, that's what I'll be saying too, because that's how half the time I'm just like, look, look, man, until you've had to freaking live on the street and actually have to like find a place to stay, and you're having to freaking go from house to house asking for a place to stay because you got thrown out. Yeah, that happened to me one time, but it wasn't really that long. But anyway, I just say this: look, until you've actually been kicked out, until you've been in a situation where your parents have kicked you out and you have nowhere to go, and you're looking for a place to stay, and you have no relatives to help you out, like shut the fuck up. Until you've been in any of these fucked up situations that I've had to hear plenty of people be in, like shut the fuck up. Because at that point, anything you're bitching and argue about is 100% irrelevant. Like I had to go to the Dominican Republic back in 2013, 2014, I want to say. And it was like while I was in the military. And man, let me fucking tell you something. Those mother TV, like having a TV out there is a luxury. You know, having a fucking actual house is a luxury. Going to school is a fucking luxury. You know what I mean? All that shit is a fucking luxury. I look at it like this. Until you've been in a situation where having all the shit we have now is a luxury, respectfully shut the fuck up. We're respectfully shut the fuck up. You know?
Oh, dude, and think about
That,
how much like young gay kids want to play the victim and all this shit. It's like, dude, when we were in high school, gays couldn't even marry. Like,
right.
we were so
Thank you.
fucking ignorant back then
Yep.
about
Mm-hmm.
homosexuality. And it's like we are so open and accepting now to the point where I've seen shit where it's like a gay person will do some stuff and all anybody wants to comment on is how brave they are, how fantastic they are, blah blah blah. And it's like they didn't do anything. They just showed up, they were gay, and you praised them because they were gay. Like that's how low the bar is today. But it's like back
Yeah.
then, dude, like one of my closest friends, he's gay, and I remember he briefly dated my brother's baby mama
Yeah.
because he wanted to be straight. He didn't want to be gay.
Oh,
He wanted so bad to be straight. He didn't want to be what he was, and he kept getting in all these relationship with all these women. I remember being on the couch at my cousin's house watching him make out with this chick, and eventually they're under the blankets because he's doing stuff to her. And it's like this is one of the gayest people I've ever met in my life, but he's trying to force heterosexuality out of himself because he knows that's what he's supposed to be. How
yeah.
many people today have to force heterosexual unless you're like in the country a little too close to like the Jesus Belt people. Unless you're one of those who's just too close to like small communities,
Yeah.
you're just allowed to
Actually,
be.
I'll do you better, dude. Try having a friend who is actually, trans, and they've been struggling with it ever since they were a kid, all the way until they get past high school, and they're trying to date guys for the simple fact that they're trying to be seen as being a whole female and trying to date guys, hoping that this feeling of that they're in the wrong body their entire life, and that maybe if they start doing things like girl things, maybe that would make some of that go away, and it never did, until the point where that person not only was attracted to females but felt like they were trapped in the wrong body. And mind you, I know this person, I still talk to them every once in a while, and they actually turned around and went through transitioning. You know what I mean? They went through their whole transition and everything, and now he's not only is he happy with the fact that he went through his transition, but he's out there dating women, and yeah, he's out there doing his thing. But it was like he was trying to jump into all these relationships and shit before pre-transition. He was jumping to all these relationships, thinking that it was gonna help validate him, and
Right.
it didn't do shit. It was just not. It was just. I guess he just felt nothing but emptiness. Because I can even tell when he was dating this one dude that they just looked empty, like something was missing. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I totally get that.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, with a lot of that shit, it's just like, yeah, until you actually go through that struggle, shut the fuck up. Because I see a lot of shit where, like, even on TikTok, I'm gonna just say this. I think some of the people that, like, how some people act on TikTok, some of the people that claim they're trans, half the time they do it for attention.
Oh,
You
dude,
know?
I need to
Yeah.
find this. I need to find this screenshot that I took. I need to send it to you. Where it was. This is back when I was still on Reddit. I eventually got sick of Reddit because it's such a circle jerk, and I deleted it off my thing. But there was like one of the LGBT plus community pages, and it blew up, and it was like it was a dude, it was a fucking dude taking a picture where he's like, just because you have a beard doesn't make you not trans or whatever, and basically saying, I'm a woman, I identify as a woman, I'm sorry that my face is, stuff is coming in, I'm still a woman. And everybody's like, yay, we love you, you're so beautiful, 18K plus whatever. But when you look at the picture, dude, it's a dude. It's just a skater dude. That's all it is. It's just a fucking skater dude in a beanie with long hair. And it's like nothing about you is trans. You're just a fucking dude. And everybody's just like, oh, yay, you're so beautiful. And it's like, dude, at some point you gotta be willing to
No
tell
way. Mm.
people to fuck off.
Yeah, because I'm not trying to be an a-hole, but usually someone that does that shit is usually someone that's trying to appropriate being trans. That's usually what that is. They do, and a lot of people do that shit for attention and all that shit. And nah,
Oh
nah,
yeah, dude. And
because there are
that's the
plenty
other
of
thing. Is
yeah.
because
There's plenty
like
of people out. Go ahead, my bad.
I'm sorry, but we live in a world where doing stuff like that gets you attention because everybody feels like they're doing the right thing by giving you attention. And so the unfortunate part is that people are doing it just for the attention. And it's
Yep,
like,
yep,
yeah,
that is
dude.
true.
And I feel like that's what we got here.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, when someone's actually trans and they're not, and usually the telltale way of knowing is a lot of times they wouldn't be comfortable walking outside with like a stubble or 5 o'clock shadow. Motherfucker has a 5 o'clock shadow. They are not trying to go the fuck outside. They are fucking nope. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in here because I can't go out looking like this. You know what I mean?
And I think that
Like,
that's also like a point of
yeah,
contention between old trans and quote new trans people is because if you'll like that mutual friend of ours, I remember her talking
Yeah.
about this one person who would always walk down the street
Yup.
and it
Yeah,
was
I remember talking about that.
it was a white dude. You know exactly which white dude I'm talking about, but he
Yup.
would dress so sloppy, so ugly, in
Yep.
just the most raggedy chick clothes. And our friend would get very upset because she's like, I'm trying to be a woman. I'm doing this because of blah, blah, blah. And it's like you show up and you look like this and you don't look like a woman. You look like a dude in woman's clothing, which is making the rest of us look bad.
No, I remember that shit because she roasted the fuck out of that dude. I
Oh,
remember that shit.
oh,
She
you saw the
roasted the
same post. She
living.
roasted him.
It was bad, dude. Like, let's just put it this way. Like, I've heard her roast some people, but goddamn, like that was just one of those ones. Like, if I was that dude dressing like that and she roasted me, I would that would make me like reevaluate all my life choices.
Yeah, it's like either go all the way with it or don't do it at all, kind of thing. But it's
Yeah,
like, and the other thing is
yeah,
you can go halfway, but if you go halfway, because like cross dressers, because one of my cousins is a cross dresser, cross dressers do it when they feel the time is right, when they're going to go out and do stuff, when they're trying to have a good time, when they're going to the club. They don't just cross dress to cross dress. They do it because, and the thing is how they say, oh, they just want attention. I've talked to my cousin. And I asked him, are you going to transition? He goes, no, I just like dressing this way because I get attention. And
yeah.
and
Like,
so there are people who are like that, and they're called cross dressers, and they only do it when they want the attention. They don't do it the rest of the time. If you're just going to 7-Eleven to pick up a pack of smokes, you don't get all dolled up. And
yeah,
so it's kind of like that. You're trans all the time. If you're cross
yeah,
dresser, you cross dress when you want attention. But
exactly.
if you're phoning
Right.
it in like that, you're somebody who just wants attention, dude.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. That's the fundamental difference. Is that it's like this. When you're a cross dresser, you can take that shit off. When you're trans, you can't take that shit off. That's just who you are. I don't know why some people fuck that shit up. But then again, at the end of the day, with the climate we're in, with like, the whole shit with like, with women's sports and all this shit, it's just it's a goddamn mess.
Oh,
You
dude,
know, it,
the women's sports thing is a whole thing. Like I started watching this one Rogan thing where one of the chicks who lost to Leah Thompson was talking, and I made
yeah,
it about 30 minutes in before she got a little too Jesus-y for me.
yeah. And
Once somebody
it's like
gets
this.
too Jesus-y, I'm out. But she
Yeah,
was making
same.
great fucking points, and one of the things that fucked me up is so. All right, they do all the stuff competing whatever. Here's some stuff that didn't really get talked about in media is this person was allowed to dress and all that stuff
Mm,
in the regular locker room, and the thing is they were not respectful.
yep,
they did
that's what I've
not
heard, dude.
they did not keep something over themselves to hide themselves until they went whatever. They were very deliberate and in your face about here's my penis. Oh well, here it is. It's hanging out, and all these women had to sit there. Well, there's a human being with their fucking dick out, and when they complained, they were told you are in the wrong and you need sensitivity training.
Yeah, like I heard that shit. I was like, wait, what? Explain to me how the fuck does that how do they need sensitivity training when you clearly got a person with their dick out? Like, like come on. Like, no, never mind. Like
And
that's gonna have to be a show for another day, dude. Because
and like
that
think
one I
about
can
think about even like dudes in the locker room, right? Because like when I was in the locker room in junior high, we didn't just whip our dicks out and walk around the fucking thing. You know what I
No,
mean?
fuck no. What the hell?
We
No,
were respectful. Like I never saw a single dick in the men's locker room ever.
I ain't either. I ain't either, bro. Like, what the fuck?
And
Like,
so it's
don't.
like
But
how
then, yeah, actually, I'll be honest. The only time that ever happened was the army. But then again, that's because we're in an open bay shower and shit like that. And we kind of don't have a choice. So that's a
yeah,
whole different situation. But no, in high school, no, fuck no.
yeah, dude, high school, middle school, like you didn't see another person's fucking thing hanging out. And it's like we're all dudes. It doesn't matter, man. Like respect the people around you, respect yourself,
Yeah,
whatever. And that was that because like some of the people when I was in school like they sweat less than me because they were fit or whatever, and so most of the
yeah,
time when they changed they didn't have to change their underwear. I sweat so much I had to change my underwear. I would go to the damn stall. I changed in the stall because I'm not trying to have my little tic tac flipping out in front of everybody. Because one, I don't want people laughing and pointing, and two, I just don't want to make somebody feel uncomfortable with the fact that there's a human penis 3 inches from your fucking. It's like have respect and this person. And it's very strange too because as I've met most trans people in my life, they're pretty fucking respectful. They
yeah,
understand that what they do is a little different, that what they do is a little weird, and
yeah.
and it's
Same.
like, and they're not just all in your face about it to the point where
Yep.
it's like there are almost times where I have to tell people like you can just whatever, you can just this. I'm like I
Yeah.
understand you're trying to respect me, but like dude, I don't give a fuck. Do whatever. And and so it's like that's been my experience is over respectfulness where they really just don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable with who and what they are, and I'm just like dude,
Yeah,
fuck
and
it.
that's like those. Yeah, and usually when I see like those people right there, I'm like, yeah, those people I can safely say are legit trans. In my honest opinion, when it comes to that situation,
Right,
because like I said, like you said, most trans people that I know, they understand what the fuck as far as them going in the women's restroom and stuff like that. They even some of them will even ask permission, or just if they do go in, they're not trying to be like the loudest motherfucker in the fucking bathroom. Trying to go in, use the restroom, get the fuck out.
exactly.
Because they understand, hey, some people are gonna be weird about that shit. You know what I mean? Some people are not gonna be cool with that. And they understand that for them it's gonna be for other people it's just kind of weird. And even then, another thing, there like I know the trans women I know are fucking they find vagina disgusting. So yeah, they're not trying to see all that shit. You know?
Right, and
But
the funny thing is that's a thing that kind of runs through a lot of gay people too is like
yep,
that
the
they
sight of vagina is disgusting.
yeah, and what's weird too is like they're allowed to feel that, but we're not allowed to feel that. It's like I can't comment on this, that, or the other thing. So it's like somebody can say, "Oh, well, this trans person is so much more attractive than this regular woman. Why wouldn't you want to be with the trans person?" It's like that penis. I find it weird. All of a sudden, I'm the bad guy,
Right.
and and
And I
it's
say
like,
this.
but
Yep.
gays are allowed to feel that all day long. Like a lesbian could be like, "Yeah, that cock is weird." And you'll be like, "Okay, lesbian, cool for you." And it's like, dude, we're allowed to feel how we feel,
Yep.
and and I
Absolutely.
do and I do see where it's like there are some people that it's what I call the false facade argument, where they'll take reasonable arguments like what we make, and they put
Yeah.
that argument in front of their horrible, you know, terrible thoughts to justify
You
their
know,
horrible, terrible thoughts. And I understand
yep.
where that exists, but that's not the majority. That's a small number of people, particularly
Yep.
internet people with fucking anime with anime headshots and not their real information attached that
Yeah,
feel
I
that
always
way.
say, yeah, and my thing with that is this, man. If you're gonna get behind a keyboard and say some shit and you can't even show your real face, respectfully shut the fuck up. And FYI, that picture there is my real face. It's just me using AI. So I don't want to hear nobody say, "Oh, well, you're talking shit behind your real face." Nah, come see me online. I will fuck. You will see that as my real fucking face. Like you
And,
can see all my pictures online. So yeah, y'all can fuck off.
oh, definitely. And see, with me, yes, I use animated stuff, but it's stuff I drew. So it's not that I'm hiding my face, it's that I'm putting forth my artwork because I want people to see me as an artist. So it's a little different when I do it. So and also my picture is still available. Like my profiles are always open, which I kind of hate because I get a lot of creepy weirdos who like to go into my profile and go searching backwards. Like I remember one creep did that. He's like, "Oh, you're just a grown man who plays with action figures or whatever," because like he went and found some previous video of my gargoyles action figures. But the
Yeah.
thing is, he commented on this because I said some shit about him in comicbook.com's section.
What?
And I'm like, buddy boy, do you know where you're at? We all have toys here. You're the odd man out. So get your creepy ass
What?
off my page and fuck off.
Respectfully.
But it's like I keep my stuff open because I'm not going to have myself open to those accusations. It's like, no, my picture's there, buddy. You can always
Yeah.
find me. You know what I look like. I'm a very easy man to find,
Yep.
and that kind of thing. So it's like, but there are a lot of people that it's like they have no information available. They have fake pictures, blah blah blah, and they want to be in there saying all these horrible things. I'm like, your opinion doesn't matter. Either sign your name to it or it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No,
And
I
that's the
agree.
funny thing. I actually respect full blown bigots who use their real name and photo
Yeah.
over anybody else. And that's weird to say. You respect this bigot? It's like it's 0.03 of respect, but it's still respect. It's
Right.
like
I'm the same way.
they're a piece of shit, but they're straight up saying, "My name is Alex Scarborough, and I'm a piece of shit." And I'm like, I respect that, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's how I look at that too. And goddamn it, I fucked up one of my stickers on my Gunpla.
On your what?
Gunpla. Just set it down, baby. It's okay. Yeah, I'm building a Gunpla right now while I'm on this. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Oh yeah, you were telling me
Yeah.
you were gonna get into the Gundam stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm actually building one of the mini ones right now. I got it, baby. I can fix it. Yeah, I messed up one of my stickers that you have to apply on there. I fucked up one of them, but I can fix it. No biggie. I can blend it in. Oh, it's gonna be a little hard to blend this corner in. Yeah, I messed up that corner a little bit. It's alright though. I ain't tripping too hard on
Oh,
it.
but what did we touch on? What did we touch on earlier? Oh, the director of the original Little Mermaid. That's what we touched on earlier.
Oh yeah. One of the
Go ahead.
it's one of the directors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
take that. Lead us into that.
I'm gonna just say this. I do think he does have a point of contention. There is a point there. I'm not saying I 100% agree, but he does bring up a good point. Is that lately Disney has been putting agenda over storytelling,
Yes.
especially with a lot of their live action stuff. They have, and he also brings a good point. There really is kind of no point in doing it in live action. You know, if it was already, it pretty much for the most part, and I'm just kind of just summarizing it. I'm not really gonna quote for quote, but just make summarization for. In other words, if it was already perfect as it was animated, what's the point of doing it in live action? You know,
Right.
and I agree with that point, and I agree with that point too, because there are just some projects that are just never ever meant to be done in live action. You know, and that's always been my point of contention with a lot of these Disney live action renditions. Is there are just some projects that should just never ever be done in live action.
Dumbo.
There's no point in it, huh?
Dumbo.
Dude,
Dumbo was
fact.
unnecessary. Bambi.
That dude.
Unnecessary.
Lion King was unnecessary. I hate it. I love the Lion King, and even I have to freaking say that was unnecessary. I have to say it.
Now here's the thing. Let me ask you if this would change your opinion.
Go for shoot.
If they had integrated the plot points of Lion King 2 Simba's Pride, if they had integrated those plot points into the live action, would it have made a difference?
I don't think it would have made a difference. I don't think it would have made a difference. And you know, it sucks. I actually do like Simba's Pride. That's the sad part. Is I actually do like Simba's Pride. I thought that one was actually a pretty good follow up.
And see, I liked it. It was just like when you get to be an adult and you rewatch it, you realize, oh, this dialogue is really clunky and it kind of sucks, but the story's really good.
Yeah,
And so it's like, yeah, with a lot of that stuff, it's like I don't see the point. I don't see what you're improving on it. And I will say, I have a couple of friends because they're music majors. They really hate the Beauty and the Beast one because they can hear the auto tune. I don't have the ear that they have, so I can't hear it. So I don't have the same issues they have. And what I liked about it was that they reveal that the mom died of Black Plague. And what I like about that is when I was in French class in high school, my teacher made it clear to us the Black Plague was a really big deal in France. This was like a huge, devastating thing in France. And
yeah,
so when you tell that story, you make it a very French story. And I
yeah.
say that to shit on the upcoming Snowetta movie because
Oh, dude. Oh, you didn't hear, did you? I guess you
I
didn't hear. Hold.
go ahead. Maybe I heard, but go ahead.
That Rachel Zegler's out. Yeah, I'm hearing rumors that they're done with her. She's out of the project.
And see, what's weird about that is my understanding is it was done being filmed, that they're literally supposed to be in the editing process.
They didn't even bother filming that. I don't even know if they even finished filming. That's crazy. If they finished filming, then hey, I guess that rumor could be false.
Oh no, because here's the thing. I know she is very not happy with basically the fan hate, and that she's kind of regretting getting involved in the situation because of the fan hate. But
Yeah,
my understanding is they had actually finished filming it and that they had actually CGI'd over like the all the midgets that they had that were like or I'm sorry, little people that they had that were like multi-ethnic shit. They actually
yeah,
CGI'd over every one of them to put an actual dwarf looking character over these real actors. So
yeah.
like they tried so hard to cover it up, and I'm like, dude, at what point do you just Batgirl this thing? Just bury it, never let it see the light of day. Like you're never
Right.
gonna fix this thing because the actor has turned against it. She doesn't want to. She basically doesn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. I didn't know about that shit. That's fucking insane. That is insane.
And also the whole thing with like that whole movie annoys the crap out of me because like as you know, I've been going on and on about where is Hispanic representation. I've been going on about it for years. And it's like when we finally get some Hispanic representation, it's not good. It's like,
Yeah,
dude,
it's
this
basically
this
a
is a
hand me down,
German character based on two very real German people, and that's what you give to us? Like,
dude.
dude, Falcon, we get to become the new Falcon. Oh, whoopee. Like, give
I'm
us
not even
something
gonna.
real.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna touch that one. That's just kind of yeah. I'm gonna just shut up on that one.
And I,
'Cause,
I
oh
I I
man,
appreciate the fact that we get to be Falcon. I'm not shitting on that. What I am shitting on is the fact that that's all we get.
yeah.
That's the part I'm
No,
hating on. Is it's not that we're getting that. It's that that's all we get. We get that, and we get America Chavez.
dude, America Chavez, one of the worst fucking, one of the worst written characters in Marvel, in Marvel. Like, dude, I can't. Like, honestly, I just hate the way America Chavez was written. But I'll leave that. I'll leave alone.
I liked her better
But
in the MCU because in the MCU she's at least actually Hispanic. She's from an alternate universe where she was Hispanic, and she gets
yeah,
thrust into another universe where she's Hispanic. In the comics, she's not anything. She chooses
yeah,
to identify as Hispanics because a bunch of Mexicans found her as a baby and was like, "Hey, we'll keep her."
yeah, it's kind of weird.
And so, like,
Yeah,
I think the MCU version works better. I appreciate it, but it's like, dude, is that all we get? Is Doctor Strange's one-time sidekick? Like, give us more, man. And like, everybody's always
I
looking at
mean,
like, where do we put all this black representation? I'm like, dude, they're pretty well represented.
no, I
It's
agree.
it's
Like,
our
dude,
it's our turn. It's our fucking turn.
yeah, no,
And
I don't
when you
disagree
give
with
us
that.
jack
Like,
shit, go ahead, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, I don't. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't disagree because I actually got into it on Facebook with somebody. They were talking about the about in the MCU they should make Cyclops black because of that whole Bishop book. You know which Bishop book I'm fucking
Oh,
talking about.
we both know.
Yeah, well, I'm not even gonna fucking talk about that book because, dude, it was just to me, nah. And and then the dude did the most predictable thing that everybody fucking does when you try to have this conversation about black representation in comic books and stuff. He did the same thing that everybody does. Well, not comic books, but in live action movies, he tried to justify it by using the same argument that since white people did in Hollywood back in the day, it should be okay if we do it. I'm like, no, that's no, that doesn't justify it. And
Yeah.
then he tried to say that a lot of characters that their way they're depicted in the comic is it's not tied to their race. I'm like, no, any character that gets created, if they're depicted a certain way, yes, it's synonymous with their fucking race. You fucking idiot.
Right.
It's always going to be their race.
Especially
Yes,
X-Men.
exactly. Like, yeah, and I'm just like, bro, stop it. At this point, you're just making excuse. You're trying to justify it, and I'm sorry, but you can't justify it because that's like if I take a character like Cyborg and I make him Latino or Asian, y'all mother black people would fucking go ape shit. So let's stop that. Let's cut that bullshit out.
Right.
You
And
know?
I'll always go back to Forge because white people were not happy about White Forge. White people weren't like, "Yay, we finally got Forge." None of us were fucking happy about White Forge. Every one of
No,
us was
no,
like, "What the is this?"
dude. I didn't even know what the fuck was going on with that shit. Like with Forge, that just made I don't know. I'll never get over that whole thing with Wolverine and the X-Men. That was just weird. And then
Yeah.
and even then, I'm like trying to tell the dude like he's like when I even brought up an example of characters that were traditionally white that were changed to black, and in any rendition you see the character they're white. I brought up Heimdall and Valkyrie. This dude tried to say, "Oh man, you ready for this one? This is where it got really really fucking ridiculous. Are you ready for this shit?"
Go ahead.
All right, so this dude tried to say that allegedly they were black people in Scandinavia, so it's
Oh,
possible it could happen. Yes, they did that shit, and I'm
I've
like,
dealt with this before.
I was like, no, I'm not doing it with you, bro. I'm not doing this shit with you. And I even told him like, I'm not doing this shit with you, bro. Like, I cannot believe you seriously pulled that fucking card. You are a whole fucking clown right now. Don't even right now.
Oh, dude, let me tell you.
Don't.
I
Don't.
had
And then. Oh, hold on. Wait. Oh, I'm not done yet. I'm
Oh,
not done
go,
yet. It
go,
got
go.
worse. It got worse because he tried to freaking turn around and justify, Luke Cage and Black Panther and Storm. I'm not even gonna fight on because those are justified. You
Yeah.
know. And then I turned around and he's like, name me two people that were synonymous for being white that were made black. And you know what? I went even further down the rabbit hole and brought up I brought up three historical figures that were depicted as black. Crickets. Crickets. Not only
Yeah.
that, but I even brought, and I forgot the other character I brought up, but nah, I can't remember. But go on, man.
Oh man. Oh no, I was so wrapped up in what you were saying that I kind of lost track of what I was gonna say.
Ah, shit. I am so sorry, bro.
No. It's all good, but yeah, dude, it's a very it's a very common thing, and it's like when is enough enough? You
Yeah,
know, my
like,
my thing is taste, because like look at you know, the X-Men. As I always go to is like, why do you need to racially diversify the already racially diverse? I feel like that's part of what killed Cowboy Bebop, is they were
yep.
trying so hard to racially diversify this cartoon. I'm like, bro, it's all of humanity went up in space at once. You see all of humanity up there in the cartoon. Why do you need to diversify all of humanity?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but you know what? Hey, it is what it is, man. Like, I got nothing for that.
Yeah.
You know? I ain't got shit for that.
Oh shit. What were we talking about just before that? 'Cause I
I had
had
a,
something, but I lost it.
oh yeah, we were talking about the fuck, what was it? It was one of the fucking things. Oh, the Disney thing. The Disney thing with the Disney director,
Mm,
where he,
um,
the Disney director, talking about the Disney movies now.
yeah. But yeah, like and I think he really makes a right point, because he's like, we're trying so hard to hit on these narratives that we're not worried about good story, and it's like that kind of keeps being what Disney's doing. And what perplexes me is this is the constant complaint from everybody, and nobody's picking up on it, man. It's like when everybody's complaining about the same thing, and we've been getting louder and louder year by year, and
Mm-hmm.
y'all keep doing it. It's like, dude,
Yeah, at
give
some point
give me
enough has got to be enough.
give me just a second. My son's about to take off. I got to tell him goodbye. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, do your thing, man. Yeah, and while Johnny's doing that, I think at some point, like, enough has got to be enough. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not saying, like, we don't need representation. Sure, we do need representation, but I'm just saying, like, how the representation is being done. In my opinion, it's like, when are we gonna actually start having actual representation, not like the hand me down shit. Like me personally, I don't like hand me down clothes, so why the fuck would you want me to accept hand me down clothes? You get what I'm saying? Like it makes no actual sense. It makes absolutely zero sense. And don't, like I said, don't get it messed up. I'm all for representation. I'm for it. Just not in the way that Marvel Disney's trying to do it. I'm not in that sense.
It's got to make sense.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Is like representation has to make sense, because representation is about, realistically, it's a numbers game. It's what percentage of people is this, what percentage of people is that, and our stuff needs to represent that accurate percentage. But when you're not accurately portraying that percentage, when you are under portraying the Hispanic percentage, over portraying the black percentage, when it comes to the black percentage, you are overly portraying kind of a limited sect in America. You're kind of really focusing on the very poor in a lot of ways. It's like you're starting to lose what these people are and what these people mean, and it's like you're doing the opposite. Because if you make a caricature of a people, you know, you're not you're not helping. You have to make, and that's the other thing. There are no monoliths. So
Yep. Thank
I
you.
can
Go
I
for
can
it.
create three different black characters, and none of them have anything in common.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And they're trying to create too many black characters that represent black women, that represent black men, that represent young black people. And it's like,
Let me rephrase that. The stereotypical young black man, the stereotypical young black woman, the stereotypes. That's usually a lot of times what it is you're usually trying to hit on the stereotypes, and yeah, that just ain't it, because at the end of the day, as a black man, I can say this: all black people don't think alike. You know, we are very diverse. We all think differently. Not all of us have the same walk of life. And I think at some point it's got to change. Especially if you're trying to talk about actual representation. You know, like you can't just have this default setting for how every black character is created. Not every black person was raised in poverty. Not every single black person was raised in the fucking hood. You know what I mean? Not every black person was a drug dealer or a gangster of some sort or anything like that. You know? That's not all of us. And I wish a lot of times when they do a lot of when they create these characters, it's like let's stop with the whole default of how black characters are supposed to be created. There's nothing wrong with going off the reservation and doing something that's not even within the norm. It's okay to make a black character that was rich, successful, or was raised by two parents, and they went to college, all that stuff. Case in point, and when you want to think about that, the one character that's not necessarily the stereotype, Cyborg. Cyborg is
yes,
a prime. That's a prime example of a character that is not the stereotypical black character. He was raised by two parents. Both his parents were scientists. He was, his parents gave him everything. He was a gifted athlete. Not only that, he was even intelligent too. You know what I mean? He didn't have to go through a bunch of hardships that a lot of the black kids have to go through. You know, that's like a character I use as an example. The only struggle he went through was with the accident that caused his disfiguration, and his father saved his life by giving him the cybernetic parts, or in the new origin, bonding him with the mother box.
right.
You know, yeah. So again, there is nothing wrong with creating characters like that. So yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's my thing is like when it comes to creating characters, I feel like people are trying to check boxes instead of just looking at their friends. If you look at the people around you and you look at the world around you, things will start to come out the way they need to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to force it, that's exactly what you're doing. You're forcing it. And I feel like Marvel and DC, and it's literally just Marvel and DC because I don't hear these kind of complaints from any of the smaller companies. I don't hear IDW having these complaints. I don't hear Dark Horse having people talk about this kind of stuff. And granted, some of that is because Marvel and DC are the ones with the big connected characters.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely does make a difference. But I also feel like all these other companies, they're pretty consistently doing well. And then look at like how we were talking about Star Wars female characters or whatever. Um, I want to say Ninja Turtles introduced 4 new turtles,
Yep.
and I think a couple of them are women, are they not?
I think so. I want to say yes, dude. That I really want to say yes.
And it's
It's
like
big.
nobody's throwing a fit.
Mm-mm.
Nobody's throwing a fit. So it's like if people are throwing a fit over your shit, there's a good chance maybe it's you. And not
Yep.
always because people throw fits over dumb shit. I think if you and I can probably sit back and think of 3 things that people have thrown fits over that were like, this isn't a big deal. Quit your shit.
Right. Yeah, like the whole thing with Morphin X for 97, like I didn't give a fuck about that. Like I would have probably did the same thing.
It was, yeah, especially because once you watch it, the only time it ever comes up is when Rogue is giving her speech that's so powerful that you don't think about the theys and thems. You
Nope.
don't think that she's saying they, them the whole time. You don't think about it. You think about what she's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, personally, I didn't give a shit for it.
Yeah, and it's always going to be that thing where people want to throw fits over shit that shouldn't be thrown. Like going back to what we were talking about earlier, Finn. When Finn was first introduced, episode 7, the movie hadn't come out yet. People were very upset that there was a black stormtrooper. So upset that there was a black stormtrooper.
And I think what that also was too is people didn't understand the context behind there being a black stormtrooper either. So yeah.
Well, here's my thing, because I had read a few of the books. Everybody's reading it, going, watching it, go, oh, why is there a black stormtrooper? Wah! And I'm watching it going, why is Triv Pothman so young? Because Triv Pothman was a character who was in the original stuff, like how we were talking about earlier with Mara Jade and the Dark Woman. He was part of that universe, and he originally did some stuff with Luke. I think he eventually betrayed the good guys and then eventually came back to the good guys when he saves Han and Leia's kid. And he was, but the point is this black stormtrooper existed since 1994.
Yeah.
So why is it that in 2014 people were crying about it?
Well, that's because I'm gonna just say this. I'm going to be honest about that, and this is gonna be one that's a shocker. Is because half the people that bitch about this stupid shit are fake fans anyway.
Boom.
That's what it is. It's half the people that bitch
this,
about half.
Maybe not fake fans, but not as deep as they want to be fans, because I've noticed this is when a bunch of the stuff from the cartoons started getting integrated into the live action, it was only then that people started hating on the cartoons. Star Wars. Nobody ever gave a shit about, like, the cartoons were beloved. But the moment somebody came along and was like, "Oh, you didn't know this? Oh, you didn't know this? Oh, you didn't? Well, you should have watched this. Otherwise, you would have known that." And instead of watching it and learning, they instead started hating on that cartoon.
Yeah, kind of like with the character, what's her name? The female Mandalorian, the one that was like the Mandalorian princess. I always forget her name. I always mess her name up. Yeah, thank you. Because I kept thinking I was fucking her name up, dude. I didn't even really know who she was until someone was like, dude, you might want to check out Star Wars Rebels, bro. She's actually a pretty badass character. And, when I checked the character, I was like, okay. She seems legit. And I never had anything wrong with, like, female Mandalorians. You know what I mean? Because, hell, the Forger is a fucking female, and if anybody knows anything about Mandalorians, the Forger is like the Godfather. That's Godmother in that case. But the Forger is the one that they say goes, and you have to be a pretty fucking badass person to be in the rank of a Forger in Mandalorian lore, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me anytime if I'm wrong.
I don't think I'm as deep into that part as you are, but I take your meaning, though, in that it's like people really want to get very uppity about shit, and it's like, you don't even know this shit, dude.
Like, y'all merely adopted the dark. Shut the fuck up. That's just usually what I say every time I hear people bitch about certain things, like with just really anything that they know nothing about. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. You merely adopted the dark. Shut the hell up. So, I have to go that direction after time, and it's a damn shame. Let me get this One Piece out, but I mean, again, that's just how I feel when it comes to all that shit, man. The Star Wars stuff. Yeah, and the Disney stuff. Like at the end of the day, I'm just gonna pull a wait and see because yeah, I don't see any point of even getting all pissed with the acolytes with that. That's just kind of one of those things. I'm just gonna do a wait and see on that because some people are even saying the show is somewhat decent from like first impressions, but I don't know. Again, I'm a pull wait and see because that's the same thing they did with the Book of Boba Fett, and I had other people saying that movie was kind of ass. So yeah.
See, I enjoyed Book of Boba. I think most of the haters just was like, here's what I gathered from like internet haters is that they were basically upset because it wasn't Mandalorian. They they're like, why did this happen? Why didn't this happen? Why did this happen? Why didn't this happen? And it's like all these things that they wanted to have happen is like kind of the Western story of Mandalorian. And it's like, guys, they're not going to give you the same story twice.
Yeah,
Like they're
that,
not. They're
yeah,
just not going to do that. You're going to give you one story here, and they're going to give you another story here, and that's what it is. And so the way I always kind of saw that is like that they just people were upset because, and this is a common thing. People get upset because their fan fiction isn't met, that they'll write fan fiction in their brain and then it's not met and now they're upset.
yeah, that is true. That does tend to happen.
Like that happened to me on Deadpool 2 when the Stan Lee cameo came around. I really, really wanted Deadpool to recognize Stan Lee. I thought that would have been cool as shit. For
Yeah,
him to be like, "Oh, Stan Lee," and Stan Lee to be like, "Who the fuck is that?"
right.
And
Same thing
instead,
on
it was,
Deadpool one.
and instead, I think he was what, in a strip club,
Yeah, he was the DJ at the strip club.
right? So it's like I feel that sometimes too, where it's like you feel very firmly this should have happened instead of this, but there has to come a point where you let it go. You got to go with the story. You got to enjoy your thing, and if you're not going to enjoy your thing,
Yeah,
if
like
you're if walk away. If I'm not going to enjoy something, I'm going to walk away.
yep, I had to do that. I forgot what movie I had to do that with. Yeah, to do that with like that last Star Wars trilogy, I had to walk away, man. That's what I did after the Last Jedi. I had to walk away from it, dude. Like I that was like there was just I just couldn't forgive the direction they went with the Last Jedi, just the storytelling, and just how they kind of did my boy Luke Skywalker. I can never forgive that. I will never forgive J.J. Abrams for that.
And see, I had a friend who was very, very similar, and like me and my buddy, we were mad as shit at him because we're like, dude, we'll pay for your ticket. We'll pay for your ticket. We'll come get you. Come on, come on. And he's like, nope, nope, it's bad. I don't want nothing to do with it. And at the time, I was very mad with him. But later, I actually really came to respect him for it because I was like, yeah, James, that's the way you do it. You don't just shit on something. You don't just hate on it to hate on it. If you don't like it, you just don't do it. And like he really changed my outlook on life. And like I said, I was very mad at him at first because me and his cousin, like we were offering to do everything. We're like, dude, we will pick you up. We will pay for your ticket. We will pay for dinner afterwards. Like we got you, man. And like I said, at the time I was walked away, but at the time I was mad at him because he walked away. But now I'm like, I respect that.
Yeah,
If you're done with it, if you don't like it, if you don't like what they're doing, check out.
yep,
Just
that's
check.
what I did.
Just check out. Tokyo Ghoul. The first season of Tokyo Ghoul was fucking awesome, dude. It was so radical. Like I loved it. And when I started watching the second season, I was like, what's going on here? And I quit. I
Yeah, I
just
don't
quit.
blame.
I was like, this isn't what I thought it was. I'm not enjoying myself the way I was before.
Yeah,
Thank you for what you did give me, but I'm done.
yeah. With that, there we go.
Oh, but
Yeah.
man, and what really I think, what I think really sucks is nothing good is out right now, because there used to be kind of three major players, right? There was the DCEU, the MCU, and Star Wars.
Yeah, now everybody like
None
kind
of
of like
them, yeah, none of them are on top right now. Nobody's on top. Like the closest you can get to on top is like what, maybe Godzilla, King Kong, but they're having a bunch of legal issues that make it where that may not continue.
yeah, because and speaking of which, I just got speaking of Godzilla, I just got done watching Godzilla -1. Bro,
Oh, I need to watch that. Does it
that
just
is
hit
a
Netflix,
fucking
right?
I watched it last night, bro. That is a phenomenal movie, bro. Like that is a movie I recommend to anybody. You don't even have to be a Godzilla fan to be into this movie. Like that's how good it is.
Oh yeah, it
Like
looks good. The effects look good. Like it looks so wicked. And here's the thing:
yeah.
even if the story is bad, the effects look so good.
But here's the fucked up part is the story was actually good. This story for Godzilla -1 was actually really good. Like I was not expecting that story to be as good as it was, and it blew away my expectations, man. It was crazy. I get the wrong sticker. I think I did. Shit. Hang on. Right. Yep, I pulled out the wrong sticker. God damn it. I'm gonna set it here. Yeah, sorry, I'm knocking out. Yeah, I'm really like halfway through this gunpla arm. Yeah, yeah. It just so people that don't know this, building gunpla, it can be very, very tedious. It's very tedious. Like I'm not even joking. Like it is a very, very tedious process. You have to be very patient with this shit. I might have my girlfriend do this because she's this part with the sticker because she can finesse it better than me. Hold on. Wait. Never mind. I got it. There we go. Whew. Thing. Yeah. Don't mind me, man. Like building gum. Like I said, I'm building Gunpla right now. Like I've already done the head, the torso, and I just did the right arm. I'm about to start the left arm.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, I'm doing one of the mini ones right now. And I think I might do a stream where I'm actually building Gunpla with my girlfriend. I might actually do a stream like that and just talk shit.
Yeah, I
But
think that'd be pretty cool.
yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm considering it. But yeah, with that being said, man, I'm probably going to drop off because I'm probably going to order some freaking food, and I know I gotta be up. I gotta be up at like 3 in the morning for work. Fuck
Oh yeah,
God.
and this podcast done went twice as long as it probably should have.
Yep, because we went on a bunch of fucking tangents and shit, but it's all good. Anyway, I hope people enjoyed the show and our retarded ass fucking tangents that we fucking went on because we went on some crazy tangents. So, I mean, hopefully y'all liked it. Hopefully y'all found it interesting. If not, it's okay. I don't take it personally. Like everybody, I feel everyone's entitled to their own opinion on it. You know. Yep. And anyway, this is my girlfriend. I'm like a fucking dumbass right now. Anyway, with that being said, man, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off the stream. You got anything you want to say, Johnny, before we freaking pop smoke?
The only thing I can think to say is, if you're a Star Wars hater, get off the ship. Get off the
Yeah, I
ship.
agree.
If
I
if
agree,
you
man.
if you don't want to ride with us, that's cool, bro. But don't complain about every stop every 3 weeks about how you hate it. It's like, bro, get off. You don't got to ride with us. Nobody's forcing you. Same thing with MCU. Same thing with everything. You don't have to ride with us, man. There is so much nerd stuff out there. You will find something that fits you, that makes you feel right. You don't
Yeah.
have to stay on this thing that you used to love and no longer love and hate on it. You don't got to do that. Just find your new thing. That's my last thought.
Yeah. Exactly. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and drop out. Y'all be safe. Y'all have a good one. And yeah, see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.